The India-Pakistan encounter in the 2021 ICC Men's T20 World Cup became the most viewed T20 international match in history by clocking a record reach of 167 million viewers. When the T20 World Cup returned after 5 years in 2021, it also broke viewership records in several regions. So, are we going to witness another record breaking year? Namibia pulled off a shock win over 2014 champions Sri Lanka on the opening day of the latest edition of ICC T20 World Cup in Australia that began on 16th October and set to run till November 13th. On the second day, two-time winners West Indies crashed to another shocking 42-run defeat by Scotland. These are indications of more interesting things to come. The 8th edition of the Global Showpiece Tournament features 16 teams playing 45 matches in 7 Australian cities spread across 4 different time zones. The marquee event will expand to 20 teams in 2024. With the completion of the qualifying phase, where 8 teams battled for 4 vacant spots, the Super 12 started with a bang in Sydney on Sunday when the hosts met New Zealand in a rematch of last year's final. India were dealt a huge blow with Jasprit Bumrah ruled out due to a back injury. Mohammad Shami, who has not featured in T20 internationals since the last T20 World Cup, was drafted as his replacement in the squad. India, Australia, England, Pakistan, New Zealand, and South Africa, in that order, are the top favourites this year to lift the trophy. Pakistan have one of the strongest bowling attacks in the world.
So I think this tournament is literally better placed as compared to last year's tournament. So it's quite an open tournament. I don't see the emerging teams, being winners. But definitely, these underdogs or emerging teams can play a spoil sport if they were to win at least one match with any of the larger teams which are there. I definitely believe that there is some kind of fatigue which is setting in because there is too much cricket on a back-to-back basis. But I think these are marquee tournaments which are always viewed in large groups by a large set of audience, and I don't see any kind of a negative impact in terms of viewership share. All I expect that because of the time zone being very different this time around, that the matches will be in the afternoon or in the evenings. You might see digital actually doing better as compared to TV, because a lot of content in terms of the matches which are at 5 p.m., 4 p.m. kind of time frames, a lot of catch up will happen on the digital platforms. Apart from that, if you look at the TV plus digital, if you look at the overall eyeballs or the numbers in terms of where they are trending, the growth rates over there, I don't see a significant challenge on that front, unless India underperforms drastically.
The reigning champions, Australia, will look to make most of the home conditions to defend their crown. Australia are also hosting the T20 World Cup for the first time. No host nation has ever won the T20 World Cup, and no team has won back to back titles in the 15-year history of the World Cup. But at the same time, Australia are the first to defend the title at home. A number of changes to playing conditions by ICC have come into effect on October 1st. In a format of small margins, these changes may become match defining and deciding moments in Australia. The law related to the running out of a non-striker while they back up out of the crease, informally called mankading after former India cricketer Vinu Mankad, has been moved from the unfair play section to the run-out section. With the normalization of the practice, especially after Deepti Sharma's run-out of Charlie Dean during India's tour of England last month, non-strikers will be on their toes. A change that came in earlier this year is the in-match over rate penalty. The failure of a fielding team to bowl their overs by the scheduled cessation time leads to an additional fielder having to be brought inside the fielding circle for the remaining overs of the innings. The use of saliva to polish the ball has also been permanently banned. Further, when a batsman is out caught, the new one will come in at the striker's end, regardless of whether the batsman crossed prior to the catch being taken. A new penalty is also in place for when the fielding side breaches the law on unfair movement. Any movement deemed unfair and deliberate by fielders while a bowler is running into ball now results in the umpire awarding 5 penalty runs to the batting side, in addition to the delivery being a dead ball. This time around, India, the world's top-ranked T20 side, will be looking for a much better showing than their group stage elimination in 2021.
India matches generally fetch a very high premium as compared to the average of the tournament which is there. Now, if you compare this from a last year to this year in terms of growth, I think last year we were at somewhere close to about 800 to 1,000 crores, for the T20 World Cup. And the pricing was around 9 to 10 lakh for a 10-second slot. And generally, if you look at the marquee tournaments on a CAGR basis, they've been growing at close to 15 to 17% in terms of the ad realization which is there. But this time around, I think there will be a challenge for growth because of two reasons. One is, of course, the internet companies, the new age startup companies are not spending that aggressively as they were compared to last year. Broadly, 20% of your ad spends today are coming from these new age e-commerce kind of companies, and that could have a significant impact on the ad spends. In terms of monetization, close to 70 to 75% of your ad revenue comes from the TV medium. Now, because this tournament is going to be, showcased in Indian Standard Time in the afternoon and the early evening kind of time frame, you might see a negative impact in terms of viewership of TV, and that will eventually have a negative impact in terms of overall ad revenues as well for TV, which will have an impact on the overall ad revenue of the tournament as a whole.
Elara analyst Karan Taurani says the viewership gap for the tournament between digital and TV is just about 10%. But because of favorable time zones and mobility restrictions going away, digital viewership could end up crossing TVs this time. This T20 World Cup will attract an estimated TV audience of 390 to 400 million and digital audience of 350 to 400 million. However, TV will still command a higher ad revenue share, but viewership growth will be substantially better for digital. The Australian event follows a run of 4 T20 World Cups in Asia. As such, fast bowlers will enjoy Australia's bouncy wickets. With more teams better placed than last year, a new host country and interesting rule changes, the fight for the $1.6 million trophy will be anything but a boring affair.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.